A former executive at HS2 has said he believes the company misled MPs about how much it would cost to purchase land along the route of the new high-speed rail line. Doug Thornton told the BBC's Panorama programme, which goes out on the BBC tonight, that the figure MPs had when they were deciding whether to approve the project was enormously wrong. The estimated cost of the first phase between London and Birmingham is about £27 billion. Justin Rowlett has the details.
Doug Thornton, who was in charge of HS2's land programme, says the land and property estimate that MPs had when they voted on the scheme was hundreds of millions of pounds out. He says many properties HS2 needed to purchase were undervalued and that thousands more had not been budgeted for. HS2 rejects claims that MPs were misled. It says it consistently followed the correct process. Mark Thurston, HS2's chief executive, told the BBC it was normal for estimates to evolve on a scheme as vast and complex as HS2.
That's Justin Rowlett. As I say, the programme is a Panorama show. It goes out tonight on the BBC. Let's go and get a word with Joe Rukin, who's the campaign manager for Stop HS2. Joe, afternoon.
Afternoon, Paul.
HS2 is going ahead, but what do you make of what we're hearing now?
Well, it's not a new story. Like the National Audit Office has confirmed that the original estimate for Phase 1 property cost was £1 billion, and it then went to £3 billion, which Doug Thornton, the whistleblower, originally said was an eye-watering overspend. And the moment it was confirmed at £3 billion, the actual estimate of property cost became commercially sensitive. You know, they basically said, oh, well, it's gone that high that we're going to keep it secret now. And this is just what's happening with HS2. Right from the start, the costs have been underestimated, and they try to plough ahead with it regardless.
Joe, what about the impact this has had on people who live near the route? Because Doug Thornton, former boss, saying that they've underestimated the value of a lot of properties that they needed to purchase along that route. Thousands more hadn't even been budgeted for.
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, what HS2 Limited are doing at the moment, and this will be in the programme tonight, is they're effectively stealing people's businesses and farms. And, this has been you've already reported this on WM and Midland Today earlier in the year. But that's what's happening. They are taking possession of land and businesses, and not homes, actually, and farmland, without actually paying for it. And this is breaking the law. The problem is, under the compensation code, as defined by various acts of Parliament, although it's breaking the law, there isn't actually a punishment for it. So they can get away with it. And the law changed last year, but HS2 was passed before the law changed, so it predates it, so they can get away with it. However, what it doesn't get around is the fact that this, as under the 2006 Fraud Act, is fraud. You don't have to be back-pocketing money to commit fraud.
But HS2 are denying these claims, and again, this is in the programme tonight. Their chief exec now, Mark Thurston, saying the company always paid a fair price and they've only had to use compulsory purchase powers in a small number of cases.
Oh, well, that's absolute rubbish. And the thing is, they're not denying the claims. They're saying that they didn't mislead Parliament. And oddly enough, the National Audit Office is with them on that fact because the NAO has said, actually, there was no requirement on anything that HS2 Limited said to Parliament to be based on facts. So that's how they're not misleading Parliament, because they didn't actually have to tell Parliament the truth. What is happening is, this is fraud. Because they're causing people a loss by their inaction when they have a legal duty to make sure that people don't lose money. And there are people who've had their businesses taken. In Allen Brock, there are plenty of people who've had their business taken and have still not received a single penny.
Well, why not?
You want those? Because HS2 Limited can get away with it. Because people have been naive enough to think, well, it's a government project, I'm going to get paid. And the problem is, because it's going massively over budget, they need desperately to stop some of the money going out and to defer that money going out into the distant future. And that's what they can do. And the other thing is, because they're scared that it's going to be cancelled, they're thinking, quick, we best get all the land, and that makes it harder to cancel. Because, Chris Grayling apparently came to Curzon Street back in September and started construction. He didn't. He started the archaeological work, but they tried to say it was construction, so they could say to the opponents, it's too late to cancel, we started building it now.
So hold on, Joe, as a final point, you still think you can get HS2 stopped, do you?
Of course we can. That's why there's been such a massive fuss in the last few days. The problem is that behind the Brexit firewall, there has been an absolute mess at HS2, and it's now that these stories are coming out and getting more publicity that people realise just exactly how big a mess this thing is.